There are famous guitars and there are iconic guitars, but above those is a small tier of instruments that represent more than just its model name and the sound it produces. Guitars that represent a cultural impact at a specific point in time, where their use created a before and after effect, generating ripples in music history that will long outlive its user. That's the absolute peak that an instrument can reach, in my opinion, when it becomes more than just a piece of wood with strings, but a physical embodiment of a musical movement. In this elite club is Kurt Cobain's 1969 Fender Competition Mustang. Kurt is hands down one of the most well-known Fender offset players, and there's an argument to be made that his Compstang is the most iconic and, dare I say, most important Nirvana guitar of his career. While it was not used nearly as much as his Jaguar and doesn't have a legendary show attached to it like his Unplugged Martin does, its prominence perhaps exceeds both of those, with it being used in the Smells Like Teen Spirit music video. That music video is really the before and after moment, not just for Nirvana, but for the grunge/alternative rock movement as a whole. That video is arguably what gave the biggest push to the snowball that eventually led to Nirvana taking over the world and now being recognized as one of the greatest and most influential bands of all time. Among the many memorable parts of that music video is the beautiful blue Fender Mustang with matching headstock and racing stripes. Like many people who started playing guitar because of Nirvana, for many years I dreamed of having my own Teen Spirit Compstang. I've been on a crazy journey that revolves around this specific guitar, which started with me getting a very rough copy of it, perfecting it after many years, and then holding Kurt Cobain's actual Compstang in my own hands while it held the title of most expensive electric guitar in the world in 2024. In this video, we're going to walk through the story of the most iconic Nirvana guitar, what it went through while it was in Kurt's possession, some surprising information that changes the narrative on what it was used on, and the legacy it continues to create 30 plus years after Kurt's passing. I will also be showing you everything that went into my Compstang build, which I've always considered to be the star of my Nirvana guitar collection, and why it is the most important electric guitar that I own for reasons that go beyond the Nirvana connection. It's been long believed that Kurt Cobain acquired his Fender Competition Mustang shortly before the Nevermind sessions in May of 1991 and that he used it on the album. With it being the focal point of the Smells Like Teen Spirit music video, it would seem like an obvious conclusion to come to that this guitar is at least somewhere on Nevermind. But the music video was shot in August of 1991 and that is the first time that we see Kurt with it. Despite this 3-month gap of May and August, I've lost track of how many people have told me the Teen Spirit intro is 100% the Compstang, or that the Teen Spirit solo is 100% the Compstang's neck pickup. Tone recreations are really fun, but they don't serve as historical concrete proof as to what was actually used. It's just a way for us to get sounds that are similar or even exact in some situations, but that doesn't determine what Kurt Cobain used historically. What does serve as actual proof are the receipts from the people who were actually there and are in the story. Thanks to Kyle Lemme, the editor of Live Nirvana's brilliant and comprehensive guide to Kurt Cobain's amps and effects pedals, we have two strong reasons to believe that the Compstang was actually not used on Nevermind and was acquired after the sessions. When Kyle was communicating with Nirvana guitar tech Ernie Bailey, Ernie shared with him the first insurance list with serial numbers that he has for Nirvana, which is from June of 1991 for the instruments that were brought on the West Coast Dinosaur Jr. tour. This was the first time the band had officially gotten their instruments insured, and here's why. The day after the Nevermind sessions ended, the band played at Jabberjaw in Los Angeles on May 29th, 1991, and it is believed that both Kurt's Mosrite Gospel and K-Strat were both stolen at this show. Two guitars where there is strong evidence to support that they were used on Nevermind. Fast forward now back to June and this insurance list. The guitars that are on the list are the Vandalism Strat, the Jaguar, and surprisingly an Ibanez Les Paul Custom. The Tom Strat was not included, but that is likely due to it having just received a new neck. Plus, we know without a doubt that Kurt had that guitar since March, and that it was used on the album. But what is missing from this insurance list is the Competition Mustang. While it's possible that Comp just simply wasn't brought on the tour, it seems unlikely considering that it was brought on tour just a few months later in the fall of 1991. Another piece of evidence pointed out by Kyle is an unsent letter that Kurt wrote, which is included in journals. Written to ex-girlfriend Toby Vale in the spring of 1991 after the recording of Nevermind, Kurt mentions the theft of his Mosrite his eviction from his Pear Street apartment, and him recently acquiring a quote, neato left-handed 67 Fender Jaguar. There's no mention of the Compstang anywhere, which strongly implies he hadn't gotten it yet at that point at the writing of that letter. So when did Kurt actually get it? Per the item descriptions from Christie's auctions house about the Compstang, they say Cobain was certainly in possession of the Competition Mustang before the Smells Like Teen Spirit music video, which was filmed on August 17th. The guitar was likely acquired the week of August 11th, when the band were back in West Hollywood for a label showcase at the Roxy ahead of the shoot. It's worthy to note that the guitar was completely stock in the music video aside from duct tape on the horns holding the strap. After the video shoot, it makes its live debut on September 16th at Beehive Records in Seattle. Can you imagine seeing Nirvana live this up close inside a record store? It is brought on the fall Nevermind Club tour, but it did not last very long. During only its third show on October 19th, a frustrated Kurt smashed it hard into the monitor board, to the point where the neck was broken off. At some point after the show, bassist Chris Novoselic had the neck repaired and refretted for Kurt. At some point in early 1992, Ernie installs Seymour Duncan hot rails and removes the duct tape and rubber washers to be replaced with Schaller strap locks. This is how it is seen on both September 10th, 1992 and October 4th, 1992. Later that October, Ernie installed a Godot two-pneumatic bridge, and it is first seen in this final form on October 30th, 1992 in Argentina. In January 1993, it is believed to have been present for the In Utero demo sessions in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, and is used on January 23rd, 1993 at the Hollywood Rock Festival in Rio. A month later, it is no longer in the sunny paradise of Rio, but now in the frozen tundra of rural Minnesota in February 1993 for the In Utero sessions at Pachyderm Studios in Cannon Falls. After these sessions, it is seen one last time on April 9th, 1993. That only makes for a total of 9 live appearances. Again, as stated previously, its show stats are nothing compared to Kurt's other famous guitars. But it must be said again that the Competition Mustang is the only guitar of his that has now become a symbol of not only Nirvana's meteoric rise, but of the entire grunge movement as a whole. It all started with and all circles back to this music video. After the end of Nirvana, this guitar was a staple piece at the Museum of Pop Culture in Seattle. In 2022, it shattered records at the time when it was sold to the Jim Irsay collection via Julian's Auctions for $4.68 million. This made it the most expensive electric guitar in the world at that point in time. The only thing preventing it from being the most expensive guitar overall was Kurt's unplugged Martin, which had sold for $6 million 2 years prior in 2020. It kept that title until 2026. It was sold again, this time via Christie's auctions. While it did increase its value and sold for a staggering $6.9 million this time around, officially beating out the Martin, it was beat out by Jerry Garcia's custom Tiger guitar, which sold for $11.5 million, and David Gilmour's Black Strat, which sold for $14.5 million. So at the time of me recording this video, Kurt Cobain's 1969 Fender Competition Mustang is not only the most expensive Nirvana guitar, but the third most expensive guitar ever sold in the world. Not too shabby for a guitar that was only used in 1 music video and 9 live shows. It just goes to show the power and the influence that Smells Like Teen Spirit still has 30 plus years after Kurt's passing. This guitar has a permanent place in that small elite club of instruments whose usage changed everything. This is my Teen Spirit Competition Mustang, the star of my collection. Visually, for Nirvana guitars, it doesn't get much better than a Compstang with matching headstock. I often get asked if this is a legit 1969 Compstang, which I take as a huge compliment because that means it really does look the part. But it is not. This started out as a limited edition Competition Mustang reissue that was made from 1999 to 2002 in the Dainagaki factory in Japan. This neck has an MG69 stamp, with it being a Japanese MG69. This model is closer in feel to Kurt's In Utero Stangs than it is to his actual 69 Compstang. But I digress. I never saw it like this. This right here, this is how I received it. Of all my electric guitars, this is the one with the most sentimental value because it was my wife's wedding present to me. She knew how badly I had been wanting a Compstang and told me while we were engaged, if I was able to find a reasonably priced one, that she would get it and gift it to me after our wedding. I found a listing for this guitar on eBay that now I really wish I would have taken screenshots of. All it had was a title of Cobain Fender Competition Mustang. no description, and 2 low-quality, grainy pictures. But it was for a really great price, so we jumped on it. Right away, when we received it, it was very apparent that this was a very poorly done DIY paint job. It made sense now why the pictures in the listing were so blurry and why the price was so good. It's wild to think that this guitar actually started out with a super nice Fender factory competition finish on the body, but someone along the way wanted the matching headstock so bad that they not only butchered the paint job on the headstock, but also on the body itself. I mean, there were big, visible pieces of tape on the back of the guitar holding the stripes down. If I wore a shirt with a graphic on it, it would stick to the back of the body. I would then have to peel it off, and then part of my shirt's color would be on the back of the guitar. But nonetheless, I had finally gotten a comp Mustang, and to make it even better, it was the very first thing that my now wife had gotten for me. Rough paint job and all, I loved it and proudly used it with my band. I got lots of compliments on it when I would use it at shows. From a distance, you couldn't see the heavy orange peel-like texture and the random red spots from my shirt on the back. I had it and loved it this way for 7 years, and then my wife found a way to make this special guitar even more special. For my big 30th birthday present, she got it professionally repainted so it could finally have the pristine and perfect look a Nirvana Competition Mustang deserves. No more orange peel texture, no more stripes being held down by tape, and now I finally didn't have to worry about what shirt I was wearing while I was playing it. Along with the paint job, I had my amazing guitar tech Jeff take it all the way to Nirvana replica status by modding it to Kurt's specs after October 1992. He installed vintage Seymour Duncan hot rails with no logo, just like Kurt's, a Godot 2-pneumatic bridge, and flipped and locked the tailpiece. The absolute best part though is that the hot rails have a coil split option. When this switch is in the up position, the hot rails are coil split to get a single coil sound, very reminiscent to how Kurt's comp Mustang sounded in the Nevermind era while it was stock. In the down position, I get the thick sound of the full hot rails, perfect for in utero era tones and beyond. Coincidentally, when I finally got it back for both the paint job and Jeff's mods, I was in the middle of packing to go out to Indianapolis to see Kurt's actual competition Mustang. I finally had my perfect teen spirit staying in my hands. And then less than a week later, I found myself as a guest at the Jim Irsay collection with Kurt Cobain's actual comp Mustang. Let me tell you, it was an honor, a huge thrill, and completely terrifying all at once to hold a $4 million guitar, an instrument that had a massive impact not only on my life, but on music history as a whole. Documenting this guitar was one of the greatest experiences of my life, and I'll never be able to thank the Jim Irsay collection enough for inviting me out and for the trust they put in me with this guitar. Something I will never forget and never take for granted. The video detailing that full experience and all my findings from it will be linked here and in the video description. There is far too much ground to cover for me to attempt to quickly summarize it here. So if you're interested in seeing more of Kurt's actual comp Mustang, I highly encourage you to check it out. Needless to say, after coming home from that experience, I can never look at my own comp Mustang the same way ever again. Believe it or not though, the craziness with this guitar doesn't end there. Last year, I was invited by my great friend and fellow YouTuber Aaron Rash to come out and meet him at Pachyderm Studios in Cannon Falls, Minnesota, where Nirvana recorded In Utero. He told me I was welcome to bring any gear I wanted, and it was an easy choice to grab my comp Mustang. While there is no definitive, concrete answer for which guitar was used on which song, we know that the comp Mustang was, at the minimum, present and there for the sessions. Making In Utero sounds in the live room where Kurt, Chris, and Dave recorded those original sounds was another massive life highlight. Something that still gives me goosebumps when I look back on it. Absolutely surreal. From seeing Kurt's Competition Mustang as a teenager behind glass, to holding the actual thing, and then using my own comp stang at Pachyderm Studios, the Fender Competition Mustang will always hold a very special place in my heart, not only for those experiences, but for the role it had in shaping me and my tastes as a guitarist. I know I'm preaching to the choir here when I say that Kurt Cobain was one hell of a songwriter and performer, but my god, did he not have great taste in absolutely beautiful guitars too. I hope you enjoyed this video and learned something new about the most iconic Nirvana guitar. Thank you so much for watching, and an extra special shout out to my Patreon supporters. Be sure to follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Nirvana Guitars. Subscribe right here on YouTube for more weekly Nirvana gear videos like this, and I'll see you in the next one.